35 years ago this month, Channel 4 traveled across the world to cover the local impact of an international story. It was Beirut, Lebanon, where local servicemen spent Christmas away from their families. Photographer Brian Lucas was there with them, and tonight he takes a look back.
This is a story about Christmas. A Christmas more than 3 decades ago, in a foreign land. Civil war had erupted in Lebanon. The United Nations dispatched a multinational peacekeeping force, including U.S. Marines, to Beirut. The Marines seem to have gotten lost in the history books. Probably the worst thing that could happen to any of those Marines and sailors is to be forgotten. This is a Ritz for the Marines in Beirut, 1983. A sandbag bunker covered with plywood. A makeshift Christmas tree with aluminum cans as ornaments.
You know, there are a lot of hardships for the troops here in Beirut, and when they know that people at home care about them, support them, are grateful for what they're doing, it energizes them to even do more than they are already doing.
When we arrived in Beirut, the French embassy was hit by a car bomb. 20 people were killed in that explosion. 10 were French soldiers. The French soldiers are on high alert. At the Marine base in Beirut, I can see the uneasiness and uncomfortable situation the Marines are placed in.
I don't get an idea of what this place is like until you've actually been here, which is what I thought. I had no idea what it was like.
Yeah, it's probably artillery.
Their position keeps them under daily sniper attacks.
There was 2 rounds that came in, 2 artillery rounds that came in. We heard the second one come in. The first one was just unexpected. That's why I was up all day yesterday.
There is no sanctuary in this city. It is a sad place and a sad time. The Marines came in peace as part of a multi-international force. Little peace could be found in Beirut, but the Marines tried to make the best of a very bad situation.
To see in the eyes of these Marines and sailors all their gratitude for the support and the gestures of love from home is heartwarming for me.
Somebody said it was almost like a little house on the prairie, and so I said, well, a little house on the corniche.
On the corniche in front of the American embassy, the Marines are routinely targeted by snipers. As I filmed the area, I noticed a small bunker with several Marines standing guard. One of them was Corporal Brad Pellegrin from Slidell. It is the Christmas season, and he is making the best of a very bad situation by lining his bunker with makeshift ornaments. We were carrying messages from Corporal Pellegrin's family to give to him. It was a videotape message to him from his wife, his mother, and child.
We miss you, and we wish you were here.
As we showed the message to him, I noticed an interesting effect on the other Marines.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
They gathered closer together to hear the family's greeting to Brad. Closer, the Marines came when Brad's son said, "Daddy, I love you and I miss you."
Daddy, I love you.
We played the videotape again and again. That's when I realized that Brad's family was now family to all the Marines gathered to watch the videotape in front of the destroyed American embassy. The Marines had a Christmas family now, and it was amazing to witness a little bit of loneliness disappear as they looked on. Christmas is family, even in Beirut. And it happened again and again as we showed messages from family members to local Marines. Other Marines would gather.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We miss you and love you. All right. Say bye, Greg.
Being away at Christmas is tough for anybody in the military, but even tougher in a war zone.
I'd like to be able to say a very heartfelt thank you. Merry Christmas. See you later.
Merry Christmas!
As I was leaving the Marine base in Beirut, I noticed a small memorial in front of the former Marine barracks. On October 23, 1983, a truck loaded with explosives crashed into the Marine headquarters, killing 241 Marines. I couldn't help but stop and notice and film the small bouquet of light blue flowers ringed around a Marine-issued camouflage hat. Above the flowers was a small white sign facing east toward the city. The small sign simply described the Marines' mission in Beirut. To the 24th Marine Amphibious Unit, they came in peace. This is Brian Lucas.